And three, two, one, boom. And we are back with another episode of Socratic Gamers. This episode brought to you by Zenreal Clothing Co. Check out the free playlists on Zenreal Radio via zenrealclothingco.com. And if you want to, pick up some tees and or accessories, use the code SGPodcast at... It's SG Podcast, right? Yeah, I'm sure it's SG Podcast, or check out the description for 20% off select items. Okay, this is your Socratic dialogue. This week we're talking about the Age of Enlightenment, which I find that we're really experiencing now more than ever due to COVID. So prior to this, but before the internet, essentially what the Age of Enlightenment is the ubiquity of the internet to spread information.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And like I was watching like some Zac Efron like interviews about like the Ted Bundy thing. You know, he shot that movie about Ted Bundy.
No.
Oh, you didn't know that?
What?
Oh, okay. So like so Zac Efron he shot this like movie about Ted Bundy, and it's on Netflix. And so essentially during that time, a lot of killings, like 1969 and stuff, right? A lot of people got away with stuff. You know,
Right.
like a lot of conspiracies happened, et cetera, but like because of the internet, we're able to find information, but also like negative information, I guess, because remember I was like sending you all those headlines, and then you sent me that really funny comment back. You're like, stop reading just the headlines.
Oh yeah.
Right. But it's like, that is kind of the world we're in. We're inundated with so much information,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like almost a good thing and a bad thing. But it's
Yeah,
like how you wield it, you know? Are you
Yeah.
gonna say something? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I think that's what we have talked about, like how the internet, you can fall into the black hole of bad information.
Yeah, totally. So okay, so another part of this. So I was watching, not watching. I was listening to this podcast, Tinfoil Hat Comedy, or the Tinfoil Hat, and it's Eddie Bravo and Sam Tripoli, and they're talking about conspiracies, and they have all these people on there, and I'm like, okay, some of this seems real, but like how Joe Rogan always says, like it's like a coconut. You can't eat the outside, but the inside's really healthy for you, right? It's like you have to
Right.
pick out the nuggets of information, because they were talking to like Bigfoot, like demons from alternate realities and stuff, and I'm like, or like flat Earth for a good example, and like if you actually
Yeah.
believe in all this stuff, you know, this could also be bad, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, but like, again, you wouldn't have known about like all this Jeffrey Epstein Island stuff, you know, or like you ever hear of Pizzagate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like stuff like that. So like, is like, it's there and it's readily accessible, but it's also like a bad thing, you know. I don't really like it. It's like a double-edged sword, you know. You can learn a lot, but at the same time, you know, you can go down the wrong rabbit holes if you don't read books and you just watch like YouTube videos all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, of course, there is conspiracies that are legitimate, and there are conspiracies that are just there to throw people off, kind of thing, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
and what tends to happen is it becomes all under one category.
Right,
If
I see what you're saying. It's the conspiracy category, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and then, but you really gotta like delve through what is actually true and what's not.
It
So
makes...
that's what people don't do.
I totally agree, and it makes me think of like the Big Short, you know. So like,
Yeah.
if the 2008 crisis, the bubble that happened, if people had heard about that prior, they'd be like, no, this is not real. No, that's a conspiracy, you know. But then it comes
Right.
out as a movie, and like they have all these like books on it, and you're like, oh, that actually did happen. Or like American Made, another example, like how the Clintons were associated with like drug trafficking through Arkansas, you know, and they put it out in that
Yeah.
movie, but it's like, it's a conspiracy when you first hear about it. You're like, no, there's no way that's happening, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it also is what's the catchy headline, and that tends to be what people remember versus what's necessarily in the article, right?
Right.
Like you could say, yeah, I connected with Bill Clinton, but it was a bit different than that because it was through different administrations. It was just like we can't charge the guy because it'll just show bad on us, right?
Right, totally. Yeah, exactly. Have
Yeah.
you ever so there's this thing it's called like negative source bias, and what it is it's a marketing trick where you'll put out wrong information and people will remember the information but not the source. So like you're like, "Oh, Oprah Winfrey killed someone," right? And
Yeah.
then you'll remember Oprah Winfrey killed someone, but then you're like, "Wait, where did I hear that?"
Yeah. Right.
You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then it just becomes like normal, like it's like those tabloids, you know, like when you put out those tabloids and they're like fake news, but then like you tell somebody about it and then they don't ask where the source came from, and then like it just propagates
Yeah.
throughout
That tends to
society.
happen. Actually, that's also another thing because you tend to believe your friends.
Right, totally, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Basically. Yeah. Yeah. And that tends to that tends to how this kind of like spreads, right? Because they're like, no, this one person told me, I trust him, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. It's like when you're buying something, right? You trust word of mouth, right?
right. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that increases the legitimacy of what it is that you're looking at. So it's funny, you know how I reposted that thing about like Lex Friedman and Elon Musk, and then like Lex Friedman liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
then all these people started commenting like, "Oh, don't give him support." And I was like, "It's weird time, like it's like weird synchronicity." So I had just watched that interview and I cut it up and I was putting it online, and then like Elon Musk has all this like negativity towards him at that same day because he wrote like "Free America Now."
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right. And then like somebody like commented like, "Oh, don't give him credit." And then like it was like Free America Now. I was like, what is this guy talking about? And then I went on the page and I'm like, okay, so you just said Free America Now. It's like you don't really get the context within like 240 characters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So it's like he could have just been trolling again. Like, do you know his character, et cetera, et cetera. And then Lex Friedman, he posted this other thing like. It was obviously a troll. It was like a picture of Elon Musk on an eagle, and he's like, "This just in: Elon Musk like championing freedom for America while riding an eagle," something like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this is like obviously a troll." But then like other people will not see it as a troll. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So
Yeah.
it's so that's another thing. It's like we can't really get sarcasm or trolling online, and then people misread it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the biggest issues too with like Twitter is a lot of things is just sarcasm and people read it as like it's a true fact from them or something.
Right.
And
Totally.
yeah, and then that's how like Elon has been getting a lot of hate for just like 3 words or 2 words that he put out.
Yeah.
And then if you do delve into it, I do get what he's doing, and in a way, it is affecting businesses, right? That's the one thing you have
No,
to like.
I totally, I
Like
agree with it
it
too.
makes
Yeah.
he's saying like there's a with there is trolling, yes, with Elon, but there is partial truths to what he's saying.
Right.
Um,
No, I agree. I agree.
right.
And I wonder like too because we're so
People are
like
just surface level. That's my issue with that.
yeah,
Like you,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
surface level. It's weird how like we're so divided now. Like if you so like okay, so the greatest examples like Trump, right? So it's like people like either love him or hate him. But
Yeah.
you can't pick and choose. Like you can't be like, "Oh, he did something good there. He did something bad there." You know? And like I
Hmm.
think that's what like humans have to understand is it's like there are so many faces to a coin or oh there's only two faces to a coin but like there's so many like dualities, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
you just choose one side then you're living incomplete, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Actually it's
Yeah.
really funny, there's a person who like messaged me like so much hate. If you're listening to this, shout out to you. You know who you are. But like so much hate about like this game I'm playing, and I'm like, and I messaged back like I was like, all right, that's cool, it's cool, yeah, okay, a bunch of like messages, whatever, and then I kind of just like was like, oh,
What game?
Final Fantasy 7.
Really? A lot of hate? Oh.
Yeah, from this person, but they hadn't played it, right?
Oh,
Like, oh,
okay.
you're wasting your time, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, you're hating, eh? And then like and then I said something about like watch your thoughts because that becomes your actions which become your character,
Right.
some basic like Buddha stuff. And then like
Yeah.
he was like, oh, not gonna lie, what you said really hit home. And I'm like, yeah, man, because like if you're in one side you can't have an open mind, You know, you need to
Right.
have both perspectives. So it's like, yeah, you know, Trump does bad things, Trump does good things, and it's like you have to like accept them totally in order to
Yeah.
be like
Yeah.
adaptable. What were you
Mm.
saying?
No. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you got to look at it like the whole picture, right? Not just like one thing and then you categorize them as only that. Like people are, not black and white.
Totally, yeah.
So that's the thing that, like, they're even. I mean, I've been watching, or he's not doing anymore. I was watching all the Trump stuff and
Mm-hmm.
like Trump press conferences, and there are like certain things in there like that is like factual with like China and things like that he has said. But I don't like people tend to forget what it was like before Trump. And a lot of that stuff was true with China, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. But right, totally. But that's what I'm saying. It's like if you're like one side or the other, then you're going to think everything he says is like negative. You know?
But see, this is also what happens here because people do tend to choose sides and tend to only focus on certain facts that they view as a good thing. So, for instance, like anything that Trump does with if he attacks Iran or anything that comes to light, right? Like all the
Right.
bombs he's doing or something,
Mm-hmm.
just because they hate him. But then, if when Obama was doing that, none of that was mentioned.
Yeah, totally, exactly. Because it's like the halo effect, right? So it's like everything they do must be good. You know?
Yeah, like right now, actually, right now is like the exact time with Joe Biden. He's got like a sexual assault. Someone had came out.
Oh no way. Okay.
Yeah, and only now it was out for like a few weeks. Only now the media's a little bit talking about it, but it wasn't being talked about at all for like a few weeks. Like in the beginning when it came out, and if you remember, there was like a judge that Trump had chose, like Kavanaugh, and like they had a whole hearing.
Okay.
Uh, and they're like, oh, all what were they saying? Like, oh, all females should be believed, or it should go through like due process. So
Right.
like they wouldn't put him on the Supreme Court judge uh, at first, like until like they went through all this hearing, and it's like, but this person is coming out against Joe Biden, and everybody's like, it's not true, or she's lying, or something like that.
Hmm.
So it's just because he's the Democrat, and we can't have this thing against when we're running against the Republican.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, 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 totally.
Well, like that's
Because it'll hurt our image. You know, I was just watching Hunger Games, and I watched the whole series, and I was like, this is like a perfect marketing political overview of our
yeah,
society. You know, like exactly what you're saying right now. It's like we can't. The whole thing, like, so the first one was like, yeah, it was about the Hunger Games. And then as it progressed, it was more about propaganda. They even started calling it like, we got to film more propos, you know, because
mm,
like we
yeah,
got to like spin the image in a specific way. And I was like, that's like
right,
what you're describing right now. It's like we can't have him like looking negative in that light, you know?
right, yeah, 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 and that's exactly what was happening, and nobody was talking about it just because it would be bad for his polling numbers. You might lose. It's like
Right.
just because of that, I just like, but then maybe he's as bad as Trump.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
What is actually, I want to get an update on the Bernie Sanders thing. When I saw that he stopped running, I was like, oh no. I really thought he was going to win
yeah.
it this time.
Uh, Again, there was he still should have stayed on, but there's a lot of um. I think there was so much backlash against him. That's like, oh, he's already in the lead. Like, you should just drop out. Why are you not dropping out? Like, there's so much of that
Who,
against him.
Bernie?
Yeah, he wasn't in the lead. Like after Super Tuesday, he was not in the lead.
Okay.
Um, Joe Biden was. So
Really? Biden?
yeah,
Damn.
there's like I can really get into it, but it's a really long process to talk about because it's like, why did he lose Super Tuesday? And then I think like Elizabeth Warren was still in the race, while the other ones like dropped out and they gave their endorsement to Biden. So those states helped out Biden, and
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
It
was
was a
it was
collusion.
it was a game that was played really well. Like, what did Biden give those two to like give the other two like people that were running? What did they like what did he, did he give him a cabinet position if he wins or
Right,
like
right,
something
right,
like
right.
that?
But that's what I'm
So
saying about Hunger Games, man. It's like all this
yeah,
stuff that we see is like so superficial. Like at the level of where we are, as see, like when people talk about the Illuminati, and they're
yeah,
like, oh, like this is it. It's not like an actual Illuminati. I don't believe in that. But what I believe
yeah,
in is like the things that we're doing by
hmm,
like they become the de facto Illuminati, just like listening to this, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you this position if you give me your endorsement, and it's like
yeah,
yeah, that's some Illuminati stuff, but like we don't call it the Illuminati, but that's just how politics is run, you
yeah,
know
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Again, that's really, if you pay attention to politics, you would know that. But people don't, right? And actually, in general, people don't really care about politics, so they only get those headlines.
right,
They don't
totally.
need to get the real story. And then maybe like after like if it goes down the line and then all this news comes out, you think it's shocking, but it wasn't shocking at the time.
Right,
It's just,
totally. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. Like speaking, this is a great segue into like online learning, but um, through the use of the internet, like if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, how do you guys know so much about these topics, right? But it's like, well, first of all, I think that everyone is intelligent on whatever topic interests them. Like if we were talking about like I don't know, some stupid TV show, we would have watched like every single TV show, analyzed everything, but like that's not where our interests lie, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Well,
listening to
we
you is
tend
like
to we do that. We do that. I mean,
we
it's not stupid though. So,
no, but yeah, totally. We do talk about it, but it's like what I'm saying is like people are
yeah.
like, "Oh, you're smarter than another person," but it's like not really. It just the interests lie in different areas,
Yeah.
If you were
Where?
interested, yeah, totally, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you would go out of your way to find out the information of what it is you're interested on. So like I'm not very interested in politics. I'm interested on like the grander scale of how it works, but the micro scale, like that's why I ask you these questions, right? And like you analyze it, and like for me it's like martial arts, spirituality, all that stuff, but it's all propagated through the internet,
Hmm.
like like
Yeah. I didn't go to school for this, so we
that's what I
all.
was about to say. Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
me taking photos. That's me watching like YouTube videos, like DIY stuff, and being like, oh, I could do that,
Right.
And like
Yeah.
I feel like what this whole COVID thing is showing us is what was going on all along. It's like I posted this I posted this like picture, like so we're having like Zoom conferences at work, right?
Hmm.
And it's like it was funny to me because I was like, everybody thinks this is so innovative and new, but if you were in the technosphere, you've been doing this for like Discord, like Twitch streaming. Like, come on, what are you guys talking about? Like, this is so basic, You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, oh, just turn on the camera. Okay, okay, sign up for a membership. Oh, how do I sign up for? Oh, how do I download this app? You know what I mean? It's like it was there the whole time. Just nobody was using it because
Right.
only the people in the technosphere were up to date on that stuff.
I
Like
mean, Twitch.
gamers.
Yeah, Twitch was here. We could have been already doing online learning. I mean, we tend to do online learning. Some people put up some of their streams are about teaching people about either whatever topic that they're interested in, right?
100%. And I was thinking about this too. Like, so I spend like hours of my day, like equivalent to like I watch at least like a minimum one podcast per day, right?
Mm.
And just like a bunch of interviews in between because that's what interests me. And like I was thinking about it, that's like going to a lecture for university, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like because you have like especially with the Joe Rogan experience, you have these like experts that he brings on, and then what they do is they talk about their chosen field for 3 hours, you know? And you're like,
Hmm.
this is almost better than a lecture because they're not sticking to a specific like doctrine of study. They're like telling you what's really going on and what they really think, like science experts, you know?
Yeah.
This isn't like,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, this is the class on, like, what's a good example? Like this isn't microbiology one, we're going to talk about everything that I know up to my expertise and how it relates, So
Right.
if you're a big picture thinker, this is great for you. But if you're like a macro scale thinker, then like you need those individual classes. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But
Yeah.
it's like the way we define education previous to the COVID thing, I think it's way
Mm-hmm.
different than education going forward. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And like I really, because I heard this a while ago. It's like we're entering the age of enlightenment. You know, Aquarius sign, blah blah, like a bunch of like spiritual mumbo jumbo. But if you actually look at it, it's like no, the internet really did provide us with understanding. You know,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, connectivity, all of these things. You know, we can run entire businesses and economies online. You know,
Yeah.
do you see the NASA thing where they're like doing the rover, they're like manning the rover from her kitchen or something like that.
No, I did not see that.
Okay, it was like it was on Wired. I didn't read the full article, but I was like checking out the picture and like the headline, whatever, as because it doesn't interest me as much as it would for you. You'd probably read the article. I'm like no, but they're saying like NASA piloting from home or something like that, and I was like yeah, of
Oh.
course. It was like pretty basic, just like it's like a engineer who's using her kitchen counter and has like all these like computers set up to like
Mm.
man this rover on Mars. And it's like, yeah, we're such a digital species now. You
Right.
know.
The only thing there is security.
Oh, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but do you feel like I guess the negative to that would be the disinformation that we were talking about earlier because you don't know who to trust. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what tends to happen a lot. I mean, especially in these days.
Yeah. And like what if like the grid shuts off too? That's another problem. Do you know how like they back up the internet? Like how does that work? I'm not too sure. I
I
heard
don't.
it's like multiple like you have different locations around the world with different servers holding different information, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
but like if that went down, that would be an issue. Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this before on the last podcast, but it's like it's a good time to bring it up again. But I think the reason why they're able to do this whole quarantine this time is because during the SARS outbreak, our like infrastructure wasn't good enough to run businesses remotely. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I think they would have done the same thing. If then I saw that like 65% of cases are recovering. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so like so it's like was it as bad as we thought? Did we jump the gun? Like you'll never know, right?
I have some topic. I have some thoughts on that.
Oh, okay, yeah. You want to share? I'm very curious.
Well, yeah. So I look at Sweden. I was watching some things recently, or this week about it.
Okay.
And Sweden is doing a whole. They're not doing anything what other countries are doing. Basically, their economy is still open. Stores are open. Restaurants are open. They're just following the social distancing. Schools are open.
Oh no
Uh,
way.
yeah. It's just like if you're what they're suggesting is if you can work from home, work from home. If you uh like don't go meet your like grandparents and stuff, or kind of like keep them safe.
Right, right, right. Totally.
Because majority of the deaths
Elderly
are
and sick.
are elder. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So those are the only ones you really need to protect. But in general, what's happening there is they still have cases, but I think what they're going for is more like herd immunity.
Oh, okay. So they're just waiting it out so that everyone gets it.
Yeah, over time, and depends on as more people get immune to it then it won't spread, right?
Right, 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 right. It's sort of like the whole idea of we all wear masks kind of thing, or
Yeah,
or,
but
or like
wear a mask in that situation.
that's so fascinating. So like everything's still running as normal. They're just like following different protocols of like social distancing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And no country is doing that. But everybody, they do have a bit higher number of cases and higher number of deaths than their countries beside who are following the social distancing. But the thing is, which phase are they at, and we'll only know that maybe in a couple months or so.
Oh, which one do you
Like,
mean Sweden? Which phase is Sweden at?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
which phase Sweden is at? Are they at the end of the phase, and that's their like max number? Uh, and other countries will continue to add more number to it, because if you social distance or stay at home, it's like it'll spread slowly. It'll
Mm.
still spread, but it'll spread slowly. But you'll still get that high number
So,
eventually.
so
More,
how do
hmm
we know about like you know how they're like, oh, we're hitting our peak?
Yeah.
Is that like a like how does that work? So it's just like the maximum number of people that can get it is the
No.
peak, and then it just goes.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's fine. Yeah.
That's not. No. They're in this. What we're doing right now with staying at home and stuff. The peak they're seeing is mainly the number of cases that's coming. It
Oh, okay,
doesn't mean
okay.
that number of cases. If we open up now, right now, and as normal as it was before, the number will go up again,
Okay.
because it'll more people will catch it, right? Because there's more people had stayed home, right?
Right, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So
So
they'll
that's what I'm wondering too. I'm like, can this actually be the real peak? Because if we open up, like, yeah, everyone's back outside. It's gonna
so that's
raise again.
why that's why they want to, especially in Ontario, they want to do it in phases. But that's why they have to see, like, okay, when we do phase one style of opening, they monitor the number of cases, and if it's going up, then they'll have to uh, stop, like go back to lockdown again for a little bit. I don't know what because they still haven't started the phases, I believe, and I don't know when they will start.
In
They're waiting
Ontario.
for. Yeah, yeah.
But I saw that thing like Ford was saying how, you know, businesses get ready. We're gonna open up soon. You know.
Yeah. Within, like, what number is he waiting for to do that? Like, if we're getting only 200 cases a day, is that the number he wants before we slowly, like, do the phase one opening, right? Then go on to phase two. Like, it'll be like phase one for 2 or 3 weeks. Phase two, like, each category fits different sort of things that are open.
Oh,
But
okay.
things like, even on, the total is up to phase three, and if everything goes through, it's like phase three should be in like July or so.
Oh, no
Uh,
way.
yeah, July or August. But even after phase three, like things like uh, um, with sports and stuff, that
Mm.
will be that even under phase three, that's still closed indefinitely, even for sports.
Interesting. Okay, okay. So speaking of sports, so going back to this online learning thing, because you just triggered me on a thought. So like a lot of like yoga studios, martial arts studios, they're doing this like online learning like through Zoom,
Yeah.
you know, and then I see them like charging for like obviously you need to do something for a business, right? For it to survive.
Mhm.
Totally makes
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
you know, but like it almost seems like with those intangible like no sorry those tangible classes where you need like hands-on training, like I personally refuse to do any like Zoom jujitsu stuff because it's like it makes no sense. I just watch, like what I've done instead is I just started watching the Gracie Combatives again because like at least theirs is very methodical, you know, like
Hmm.
it's very like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
planned for it to be online education, whereas like
Right.
right now it's like everyone's just catching up and what they're trying to do is fill these like filler episode classes, you know, like if you're watching an anime it's like, oh, there's a filler episode.
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah, because they jumped into it. They don't know exactly what or how to best use these tools.
That's what
Uh,
I'm saying. Exactly,
yeah.
totally. And it's like I feel like this is the impetus for further online education, but like
Hmm.
we're in such like a rudimentary stage right now that it's like if you're a techno sphere person, you see how ridiculous this seems. It's like, why would I learn from this?
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like not to knock those people, like obviously you need a way to pull in income, but like unless it's like a VR training kind of thing, you know, like
No, no, I understand. They're trying to find ways to survive through this, because they are going to be impacted hugely. And even after that, it's like, can we really have people, or will people come back uh,
totally.
to do jujitsu or any other sports? Because it's everyone, if it's all close contact, right? So
So that's what triggered me with your like phase 3 thing. You're like, oh, sports are indefinitely still closed. And it's like, yeah, like gyms and like all that stuff, like, because that's the quickest way to transmit it, right? Like such close contact. Even those yoga studios that we go to, you know, you're like right next to another person,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll have limit the number of people, or you know what I mean, like cut down the, instead of having 50 in a class, you need to be social distancing in the class, so maybe 25 a class, like things like they would have to really cut down. Even for restaurants, you would have to do the same thing.
Totally.
So,
But like at least with those like yoga restaurants, but like with martial art that you can social distance. But with martial arts, you need to have
yeah,
physical contact with another
right, yeah,
person.
that's
You
right,
know,
that's right.
so it makes you think: is this the end of is it dying now? You know, academies, because like you can't pay for your school. You know,
Yeah,
they all close down. Yeah.
yeah, so that they will be impacted a lot, and I think many will not survive.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that that might happen. Yeah,
It's funny because like you need to be so forward thinking in life.
unless
Like,
they,
oh yeah,
yeah, sorry, yeah, unless they, again, they had, if those online things, or if they figure out a way to do it in a way that is engaging and teaching, or something
yeah,
that people want to pay for, then that's the only way that they can continue
T-
going on.
totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like the only like you have to be so forward thinking in life because you have to
Mhm.
accept. It's sort of like the left and the right thing we were talking about with politics. It's like you have to look at it and take it. It's like the Jeet Kune Do of life. You have to take that philosophy of like accept what is necessary, discard what is not, and then add what is uniquely your own. You know,
Right. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like a Bruce Lee philosophy. And like I find that like the only people that did it the best because they knew about it, and like Henry Gracie, I was listening to his podcast with Andy Stumpf, a former Navy SEAL, and he was saying that
Hmm.
like it's funny to see all the hate that they got 11 years ago when they started online school, right?
Right.
And then now in this COVID time, it's like people are trying to be them, you know? But it's
Right.
like, but we spent 11 years breaking down our system in a way that's, it's a linear progression towards achieving like certification.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's like,
Yeah.
whereas now, like jujitsu schools, they have to analyze their entire curriculum and they have to be like, okay, how do we linearly progress someone?
Hmm.
That's again, that's why I don't want to take the Zoom class because it's like this isn't gonna go towards like my achievement or my learning. Like we're using dummies, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like you don't have a live partner to fight back with you. What are you gonna,
Th-
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's, yeah. It doesn't really work out that way. Yeah.
And then I've been seeing like all these other stuff too, like these pad work things. So like you're on Zoom and then they'll hold the pad up and then you punch the pad that they held up and it's like, but there's no like feedback. There's no
Well,
strength. You know what I mean? They have
yeah.
like, it's like, it almost became like you're the video game now. You're playing like some VR video game where it's like your hands are
Yeah.
up, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's
why,
right.
like instead of doing that, why don't I just buy a VR headset? Because like you're going to charge me an annual membership. Why don't I just spend that money on a VR headset and play like the punch 'em out game?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's that like boxing game, and it's like you're essentially doing the same thing. There's no feedback on how hard I'm hitting. I'm just like tapping these like
Mm.
subjective spots. At least with a video game, it's like when you hit it, it lights up, and it's like yeah, you hit it. Whereas like if they hold it up and they're like left, it's like did you really catch the left or you know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
seems
Yeah. And
ridiculous to me.
I mean, it even looks ridiculous
It
with.
looks ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. You have like a computer up and like not knocking it. Like of course, like you need a way to make business, but like it
No, I
just
get
it's
it. Yeah.
rudimentary.
Yeah. I understand why they're doing it, but it's like you got to find a way to, like, what's the best way to use online, and not silly things like that. I think that's a bit silly, but yeah.
Totally. So and it's funny to see like people who are like in the technosphere progressive, they understand where things lie. So like for example, there's this thing called I forgot what it's called, but it's like at in all workplaces, it's like a skill development. You know what I'm saying? Like you're building your. Do you do that work? Like you, it's like they'll pay for something for you to learn so that you can increase your skill?
No, I don't
No?
think
Okay,
so.
okay, so maybe it's like a progressive thing for progressive companies. But so like there's like skill development thing, right? And like the hardest thing to
Mm-hmm.
get online, because you and I have been learning online for some time. So like when I was asked like what do you want to do as like a skill development thing, I was like I want to learn this, which is masterclass, right? Because masterclass is all about concepts. You're thinking outside the box. I don't need to know how to do menial tasks. I just need to know how to put those together in a specific way, and that's all
Right.
conceptual. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because then the other option was paying for like this online learning thing. And I looked at it and I was like, I could YouTube these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
but it's like things like LinkedIn Learning. That was the other thing. It's like lynda.com. And what it is they just show you how to technically do a specific thing. It's like, okay, if you want to increase brightness, here's the brightness video, something like that. But it's like, I could just YouTube how do you increase brightness on
Yeah.
my Photoshop. You know what I mean? Like but that's the rudimentary thing. It's like, why would anyone pay for something so accessible through other means?
Right. Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So like that's
Yeah.
how I feel about these Zoom classes. It's like, you're so down the sphere, you need to catch up before it's even worth investing
Yeah. No,
time and money in
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but they're a bit desperate too, right?
No,
So
I agree with you. Yeah, that's the hard part.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
yeah, you're saying.
no. No. Nothing. Nothing. Go ahead.
And then I think it's funny too because like if you look at these like podcasts and like these interviews, because I know you watch like Elon Musk stuff, right? Or like you're watching
Mm-hmm.
some SpaceX stuff. You're watching the SpaceX presentation. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's like, for you, that's like your lecture, right? But then you do the supplementary reading, like you do the homework. It's like, okay, well, what's this? And then I'll read more about these articles. Or like for me, it's like, okay, they mentioned this book. I'll buy this book on Amazon. I'll read the book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like online learning is so, but there's like a level, like you can't become a doctor online. That's way too hard. You need to
Yeah.
like if you're going to go to professional school, I think you need classrooms, but I
Yeah. I
think
think
like,
yeah, exactly. I think some things require classrooms, like anything that relates to lab work or something like that.
totally. Yeah, 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 for
That you
sure.
can't do that on, but you have to do that in class. Yeah.
Right, totally, totally. Um, I guess like minus lawyers. I guess if you're going to be a lawyer, you could do that online. Or like
I
an
mean, you already
MBA.
can. Yeah. Yeah. Like already, you can do your own. You can be your own lawyer, right?
True, true, true. Yeah, totally, totally. Totally. But yeah, like there is still that distinction. Like I don't want, you know, if you're listening to
I
this and you're
think
like, oh, I can just learn
that's right.
online. It's like, no, there's still like value
Right.
in class. But I think maybe that's the way around it. Like with this whole COVID scare, it's like you only bring back classrooms that are essential, you know?
Yeah. Right.
I think what we're learning is like how technological we are. And then I feel like post COVID, people are going to be like, why am I commuting? You know what I mean? Like I'm spending
Mhm.
so much time, unless you have to like there are certain things you can't do like online. Like your job, right? You need like a sample or something. You need to
Yeah.
like physically, you need the instruments. You don't have the instruments. So like I feel like that's essential, but like conceptual things like building businesses online and like the stuff I do, creative
Right.
stuff, it's
Yeah.
more it's more like agreeable to online work, you know. I'm really
Hmm.
excited to see how this is going to change the future landscape of both education and businesses, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
what kind of impact do you think? Like I watched this video yesterday. Like Tara showed me this video of this little kid asking his dad to read him the story of 2020. Did you see that video?
No.
Oh, it's like going on. It's like viral. So like basically he talks about like how prior to 2020, it's like in a fairy tale format. Like it's like he's
Right.
like reading a narrative to a kid. So it's like a poem, but it's like how before 2020 we were so obsessed with like the wrong things, and then after 2020 we're changing our mindset, you know.
Mm-hmm.
towards like what's important in life. And yeah, Tara's like asked me like, oh, do you think this will like stay? And I was like, it depends on how long it takes. I know you and I talked about this before, but like
Yeah.
it would be really sad to see all of it revert exactly to normal. You know, it'd be so anticlimactic.
Right.
We spent
Yeah.
all this time like learning how to do things and like building up systems, and then to just go back to like the straight 9 to 5.
No,
You know,
I I don't think it'll ever go back to the way it exactly was. They will either wherever things can be implemented for at online sort of stuff will be going in that direction. If they haven't yet, they will do that in the future.
right,
Like
right,
that. I think that's there is of course there's going to be a lesson learned from this, and I think that um, that is one of those things,
going online.
especially for especially for businesses. Yeah, yeah.
That could be like such a fascinating reality where like I was always so like enthralled by like going to Thailand and seeing those like digital nomads, the people that
Hmm.
they have these like cafes that are super fast internet, and then like they'll serve you food throughout the day. You could like just work there. It's like workspaces basically, like Toronto
Right.
workspaces.
Yeah.
But like,
Hmm.
it,
Yeah.
but you were
Sorry,
saying,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no, no, no,
I
go.
like. I just thought like I think what also might change is like they will probably more implement like more like speed up to figuring out how like to for robots to replace human workers.
I was about to. Okay, wait, hold on. We'll get to there. We'll get to there. I was going to talk about that next. So
Okay.
okay, so it's funny. You're like we were thinking along the exact same lines. So it's funny. So with those like digital nomads, all you really need is a high speed internet. And I built my entire like career off of being able to work off of a laptop anywhere, you know, just a
Right.
backpack and a laptop. That's all I need. And I can get stuff done for you. And that's like, because I always felt like it's important to be nomadic. Like, obviously, if you're doing your job, you can't do that. But like in the creative world, you can do that, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to take a lesson from this. And I think it'll be really interesting to see in the future that people are like different parts of the world working on the same company. You know, the only issue is like taxes, because like,
Hmm.
right, like employment
Yeah.
law, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you still have to figure out like the government side of it, but like, I think that'd be really fascinating in the future. Okay, so let's talk about the automation. So, I was saying with that whole thing, like, oh, do you think, with a question like, do you think we'll forget? And I was like, depends on how long it lasts, but also I think we're making a really strong case for UBI, right? And
Right.
and then Tara's like, oh, but like then people will be lazy, and I'm like, yeah, but at least they'll have money to be lazy, because everyone's lazy. Like, not everyone, but like we all want to be lazy. But if you give us like lazy, but you have to work, you're gonna get disgruntled people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, if you, I think the ideal future scenario would be like we all get UBI, so that's enough to pay for food and shelter. But if you want luxuries, like if you want to travel, you need to get a job. If you want like this coat, you need to get a job.
Hmm.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe just lessen the amount of work, but take the burden off of having to make a set amount of money.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Right.
Hmm.
And like, so like, because she was saying that like what they were seeing is that people were quitting their job because they would just go on, like they wouldn't accept their positions back because they would just choose the $2,000 a month. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course, why would you not? If you're if you have a trash job, you're commuting. Let's say you work at like a Tim Hortons downtown. That's the only one that'll hire you, but you live in Brampton. So you're commuting over an hour to work a minimum wage job. Just take the UBI. You know, that stress level that you're putting somebody under is going to make them snap eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm working 12 hours. I have a kid at home. I got to commute an hour and a half to get to this thing. Like, what's the point?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like it's like a powder keg in society if you keep making people go through that. But if you give them like a basic amount of money, like just don't take that job, you know, because automation. So now going to automation, I saw on Yup that exists. So like another thing, Tara was like, oh, but like, can robots really replace us? And I was like, yeah, they can do everything. So then I saw this video of this machine that was making fried rice all by itself. And I'm
Right.
like, you're replacing chefs now,
Yeah.
right?
We're doing. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So like generally like I mean that is the next step eventually I guess to replace chefs, but or even like where they make pizza too, right? That can be done very systematically by a robot, and
that
it's all.
totally.
So, but generally there'll be a lot of the jobs that are out there are very like labor intensive jobs. So like those ones will be shifting into robot or automation. So
Yeah, and it's like what are you gonna make?
and they make up the most workforce, right? The most percentage of workforce, I believe.
Right,
So
totally, yeah.
so that is, I mean, it's already happening. We already do that in if you've seen how much has really changed in like the auto industry and stuff like that since like from 50 years ago, you can see that we are already always been headed this way to automation.
Right, and it's funny because like I was watching the Elon Musk interview, the first one on Lex Friedman, and he had the greatest analogy, and I was like, this is exactly it. So he was saying that like 50 years ago, we used to have elevator operators, right?
Right.
And it seemed normal. It's like, yeah, of course, like you need a person to operate this thing. Then they started to find out that it's actually better if the computer does it because there's less error involved with the elevator operator. So he's saying like self-driving cars is just going to become the new normal because we're going to think in like 100 years when self-driving cars are here, it's like, why would anybody drive a death machine? You're driving like a 2-ton truck that you can swerve off the road and kill anyone. Like this should be automated.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. We tend to, we get used to the norm at the time and don't realize like like where, or there are people like that that decide or think about like where we can fix and like be more efficient, and that's tend to.
It's not forward thinking enough. It's like I was saying, like you need to be forward thinking in life with like the Henry Gracie thing, right? Like he knew that online was the future, so he spent 11 years building it. Now everyone's trying to catch up. So it's like Tesla, I mean, not Tesla, Elon Musk knows that like self-driving cars are the future. Now everyone's trying to catch up. You know, it's like you have to go in this way, you know?
Right.
But you have to be willing to go out on a risk to go for what you believe in because it's obvious. You know, like he was asked like by Lex, like, does it seem like it'll actually go this way? And he's like, to me, it's game, set, match. Like, there's no way it's not going this way. And I was like, yeah, I could see it with that analogy of like the elevator. I was like, of course it would go this way, you know?
Yeah.
And so yesterday when we brought like Athena to the vet, I was looking because it was like in a factory area, which is kind of weird for a hospital to be. But I was watching because we had to wait like 2 hours. I was watching the factory people. They were still working, like they were loading trucks, and I was watching like this old person pushing the cart, and I was like, this is so inefficient. Like you have an old person who's like working off of their own level of energy to fill this truck. Why don't you just get a machine to do it? You know?
Yeah.
And you'll lose less product because like what if the old person steals something or drops something, you know? Like the robot's not going to steal anything or drop anything.
And they don't need to stop for lunch break. They don't need to go home at night. They don't need to sleep.
Yeah. So, right? So like I feel like if the world goes in that direction of like more and more automation, which it inevitably will, what we're going to have is a society of like thinkers or gamers. Like one of those, you know? You'll have like less disgruntled people, and you'll have a bunch of people that are just like learning things online or gaming online, or like, you know, because still there's going to be people who need to build these robots, you know? Like I don't think jobs will be obsolete. I just think they'll just change towards more like white collar jobs, you know?
Yeah.
Like I highly, like, unless they create AI, which they're saying like, if we create AI, then they will think for us. They'll have the algorithm to figure out the best ad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Have you
mean,
been
that's.
watching more Westworld?
Oh yeah, I'm done. I'm caught up, fully caught up.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm waiting. We're gonna do that recap episode once the whole season is
No,
done.
no, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to because you mentioned like the AI thing, and I was
That's where I got it
what was
from. That's where I got it from. I
yeah.
was watching Westworld and I was like, oh, dude, this is the future as well. Like, if you actually figure out the algorithm to make a human in the
Mhm.
exact manner, then you've cracked the code and like, but it seems like by watching Westworld, it seems like our DNA is our algorithm, to me at least, because
Yeah.
like it has the basics or like the foundation of who we are, and then from there the algorithm like like proliferates. Think of it like a to the exponent of 2, like 4 to the exponent of 2 infinity. You look at it, it's like it's just number 4, but then you put an exponent to it and then it just like can keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I see the DNA. It's like you have the very basic, and then you just put an exponent to it, and like however it manifests in the world will manifest in the world. But it's not governed by random because we can still calculate 4 to the exponent of 2 billion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is essentially determinism again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll get more into that.
When
I
we
guess
when is the last Westworld thing?
I'm not sure if it's today, but
Oh, say word, really?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Okay,
I don't want
cool. Excellent. So if
don't
it's
quote
today, we could. All right. So if it is today,
me on Yeah.
we'll do the recap next week. We'll like talk about Westworld. But if it's not, um, then yeah, we'll talk about something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Do you see the Last of Us before we end off? Did you see the Last of Us 2? They post that thing about it's 100 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because like I saw it and I was like, oh, that's a really big number. But I was like, but is Call of Duty more? I
At the
wasn't too sure.
moment,
At
I
the moment,
believe it.
it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. I'm
It
excited
if
though.
you were if you were getting it in disc form, it would be 2 discs for Last of Us.
Really? Okay. Wow. Okay. So it's gonna be like an epic game.
Yeah. The reason they had to push or get out the release date because some leaks happened, and
Oh, no way.
yeah.
Interesting.
So
See,
I've been saying with
I heard that. I heard that's so funny. I heard that too. Like the same person that was hating on the Final Fantasy 7. They're like, oh, like Last of Us 2 leaked, and I was like, maybe. I was waiting for you to tell me because I was like, I don't really trust this. I don't really know your level of like exploration. Maybe you just read a headline like I did. I can read
right.
headlines too, but like I'm waiting for you to read more into it and to tell me. You
But
know.
even with the leaks, you don't get the whole story, and I do want to just experience the whole story. Um, right? Like you'll get certain ideas, but you don't know if those are final products, right? But there's leaks, yeah.
Oh, really? Eh? So when was it slated to come out?
Well, it was supposed to be like 2 weeks before the current release date, anyways. So they're just like,
Oh, wait, 2 weeks before or 2 weeks
yeah,
after?
no, it would have been in June. I believe this is coming out in July, so it
Wait,
would have been
huh?
original release date was June, end of June.
No,
So
no. I saw an ad now, and it's like 7 weeks away till Last of
no.
Us.
I'm saying before, okay, before the COVID, the original release date was June. Once COVID happened, they said it's not. They pushed the release date to like an indefinite date, or like we don't know the date. and
Okay.
then and then the leaks happened, and then they're like, okay, we have to shift around because there's 2 games or 2 big games that are being released, so 1 month after each other now.
Oh, well, what are the
um
2 games?
the Ghost of Tsushima, which will be
Oh, no way. Yeah.
yeah, wait, is this what date is the actual one? I don't remember now.
What are we talking about for Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
I think it said June 17th. That's when they're releasing it.
Okay, yeah, so it would have been out in May, in the original. Then it was because of the leak they had to like, okay, we have to release the game now. So they got it. It's coming out in June 17th, and then 1 month after that will be Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay. So we would have essentially like been experiencing Last of Us this month.
Yeah, at the end of this month.
Fascinating. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess everyone's working from home anyways to work on the games. That's it.
Oh wow. So like that must be so hard, you know? Like
they were already. I think they were basically done the game. They're fixing is like the bugs and like things like that. So that's the.
Oh, okay. So it's just like tedious stuff.
Yeah.
You don't need like a studio and like you're not like filming anything anymore.
No, all the filming was done a while ago.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're just like essentially editing now, like
yeah,
post production.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sick. Well, we're looking forward to that one. Can't wait. I'm trying to beat this Final Fantasy VII before Ghost of not Ghost Last of Us comes out. But Ghost of Tsushima looks really, really good too. I know we were saying that, like the way the grass moves and like the environment, it looks very like. And I heard, you said it was an open world too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you could just be essentially living in the feudal Japan era.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm stoked.
I finished Horizon today or yesterday.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. And was it everything you expected?
Yeah, it was good. It was again about it was a good story. It was about like
social uprising.
Yeah, but like who she was, like why was she there? It was like environmental, like green energy. So, like we created like robots that were just destroying the planet. And we had to reset it, kind of in a way to program it with this. Yeah.
You know, they were saying like if you want to look at where society is, you look at art. You know, and like with Final Fantasy VII, with Hunger Games, with the game Horizon, it's like you're all pointing to what it is that's like affecting society. You know what I'm saying? Like you're doing a social commentary, which is fascinating to me because it's like you like the truly free person is the artist because they're the ones who are just talking about you know the ills of society. But which is interesting because like in V for Vendetta, that's why they blocked everything. Remember, they're like no art pieces.
Right, yeah.
Because like you don't want people to think what they're doing is bad. That's another good movie, like V for Vendetta. Awesome.
Yeah, it's also shifting people's minds with this, right? Subconsciously, consciously as well, like with these types of stories.
Yeah, totally. Like they really did shift a generation. Like the way, I don't know about you, but at least the way I think, it was totally affected by like stuff that they put out during the time, like The Matrix, which was very like anti-establishment, Final Fantasy VII, anti-establishment. You know what I mean? Like like anime stuff was like very anti-establishment. It's really fascinating that like you really can shape an entire generation's thoughts through art.
Yeah.
And that's why art needs to be silenced if you are like Banksy too, right? Banksy does like a lot of street art that talks about like negativity within society. So if you want to control the masses, you control the artists, because the artists will push the ideas out to people in a way that allows them to proliferate into actions.
Yeah. Or artists and I mean that's a wide range, not just particularly art itself. Comedians are artists and things like that.
No, yeah, totally. That's what I mean. Yeah, like comedians are artists too. Yeah, cool. All right, so till next week, stay tuned. And if it is Westworld Ender, we'll talk about that next week. But definitely, if you haven't seen it, check out Westworld. I think that's how we ended the last one too. Westworld's so good. It's like, I'm so sad it took me so long. Well, actually, no, I like it better because like when you have everything and you can binge it, you get the
Yeah.
storyline. So like I remember when I was watching Hunger Games the first time, I was like, I don't really get what's going on. Like because there was like year gaps in between, so you're like, oh, what happened? And you'd have to like rewatch it, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But if you just watch
Right.
it straight, which is what we did, it's like, oh man, the storyline's beautiful. You know, you see how
Oh yeah.
everything is linked together. So like with Westworld too, it's like binging it, you see everything all at once, and
Hmm.
it's great. Yeah. All right.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All right. Till next week. Take it easy.
Bye.
Oh wait. Pick up stuff on Zenreal, free radio. Give it a listen. SG Podcast is 20% off select items. ZenrealClothingCo.com. Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye.